Oopsie, forgot to unmute. Right, welcome back with another Hypnotic Ants Dev Game Studio game. Alright, I just muted that TV. Right. Yes, new Steamships DLC came out on this recently. If you've never even seen this game before, I actually highly recommend it. It's such a unique niche of a simulator game. It's technically the second of its iteration, we'll say, but there's about 4-5 DLC with it. Well worth it. I do remember PlayWay. I think it was sent the game to me originally, the first one, and I think then I bought the second one myself. I think it was. It's so addictive. You can drop an awful lot of hours into this game. I'll show you exactly what I mean now in a second. With Graveyard Simulator 2, recently enough, multiplayer got introduced. Now, I haven't had the opportunity to do it myself, but I have to say, it would go a lot faster if you had a second person to join your session, so to speak. So the general principle behind it is you've got this shack on a beach in the middle of, I don't know, somewhere like Mozambique on the coast, and it's an old shipyard graveyard, and there's a few little local vendors. So there's the guy who trades in materials, like almost like a stock market type of thing. Then you've got the guy who does tooling. There's another guy, I'm trying to think what he does, but basically you start out with a basic set of tools at a very low grade of usage, and the idea is that you get a contract that allows you to salvage a particular ship that turns up on the beach, essentially, and you go off in your little truck and you start disassembling it. But you've got 3 contracts with that main contract to do under it for 3 different people, and there'll be a list of items for each person that you have to salvage, basically. Once you salvage all the items, it'll show you on the UI. Go back to your shack where you've got a laptop hooked up to the internet, and you basically claim the reward for each of those subcontracts. And at that point, you can finish. You can click scrap, which removes it. Now there are other things you can do, because early on you need to build up a stockpile of certain types of items to then unlock upgrades for your tools and get other newer different types of tools as well. There is also an Easter egg item, as I would call it, hidden on each of the different ships. So if you're one of those people who likes to do the Steam achievements, if you have a look at the Steam page for the game, and you'll see under achievements a list of things. Some of them are actually hidden as well, but I'm sure with a bit of googling, if you really were into it, you could get the full list to see what it is. That in itself then, I suppose, leads to the thing of why to be wary about how you deconstruct or tear apart parts of the ship. If you accidentally trigger an explosion, you could accidentally destroy the Easter egg itself or heavy equipment items that contain contract targets. So if you see there, we're in our shack, which as it happens is an upgraded shack, has different rooms from what the original was. There's a lot of the collectibles, we call them, or Easter eggs I was calling them a second ago, but these are the collectibles that are on different ships. I don't know if I have them all yet. I definitely don't have them for the last 2 DLCs, that's for sure, I know that. And there's our laptop. So at the moment, I was going back over some of the old ones to try and get the contracts finished on them, but I've kind of skipped ahead now. I do need to go back and do these ones here. I can't see what that's from. Oh yeah, these are the icebreaker. Yeah, loads of stuff there. At the moment, I do have the main steamship checked out, which is the Titan. But I was thinking I might just go for a smaller one. Just for the, well, not that I was planning on doing the whole thing now anyway, but this is where you see the contracts for each ship that you've out. Actually, if I go back to the top, there's the one we're on at the moment. And this is what I was saying, you could scrap. So there's our contracts that we're working on at the moment. So, again, if you blow up things, yeah, not necessarily a good thing, because you could end up damaging the thing that you need. Because some of these resources, like oil for example, could be inside the heavy items that are bolted to a floor, and if you take out the floor under it accidentally by blowing up a gas pipe because you haven't shut off the valve properly, you could end up losing it, and then you're scuppered. Now the game does save every whatever minutes it is. You can do manual saves. Turn that in for me a little bit there. Right. Oh yeah, there's the vendors I was talking about. So you got tools, the market, forge. Actually, just while I'm here, I might as well quickly explain what this fella does. This fella will sell you the upgrades, but he'll also give you explosives and mobile cargo. Now I've loads there at the moment. I usually top it up every time I come over. But explosives, I'm always constantly having to top this up to like a couple of thousand, just so I don't have to come back too often. You do not get these early in the game. Having said that, as you get the different things, the hammer upgrades, the saw, torch, and different things unlocked, battle crane support. When you do get the better stuff later, like the explosives and the mobile cargo, bear in mind you can go back and do the contracts on the earlier ones, so you don't necessarily have to do everything in order or sequentially or whatever. But as I say, you'll find to go back to some of the earlier ships and use explosives and some of the better tools and techniques, you will actually get a better yield. Now you'll see on the top left corner of the screen, you've got, I think it's metals, non-metals, liquids, and tooling, I think it is. So those kg values are things that correspond to requirements for some of these tools and features. Like this fella, oh yeah, this is the blueprints for the tools, I think it is. That is what that is. So we've already got all that. There's it saving, auto saving. You can exchange, what is this, the resources into money if you need to at some, or I think vice versa. I think you can actually buy from him as well. Yeah, sell, sorry, it's not buy, it's sell. But you need to be careful early on in the game, because you won't have enough of the item you need that's a prerequisite for, say, the blueprints. Did that just save again? Or is it still saving? Gameplay, let me see what's in here. Auto saves are every 10 minutes. It's a bit much. Put up to 30. Obstacle flashing time. Highlight the time you're flashing obstacles while attempting to pick up heavy objects. Okay. Time of day. Noon. Dusk. Night. Noon. Passing of time. Oh, you can actually disable it. So it's currently set to disabled. I must have done that a while back. But anyway, let's come out of that. Right, so let's... Oh yes, before we head over to the Titan. This place. This is the recycle sorting yard. You have two options with this. You can do it manually. it's like a little mini game basically. Everything comes in on a conveyor belt from what's in your truck, and you basically have to toggle what's at the end. There's like 4 buckets that correspond to the 4 things at the top left, the type of resource basically. If the item falls into the wrong bucket, it's like a penalty basically. You've lost it, or you can start again. Ultra sort costs you 10% of the resources. So like later on in the game when you've loads of resources, it's alright to do that. The only reason why I'm not doing that at the moment is because I still have my contracts to fulfill. So generally you don't want to sort unless you've got the contracts finished, because you don't want to be putting in items that are in use. There's the Titan. Now, I have started on it, but I actually started from the back. As you can see here, so this was already opened up, most of it. And those giant, I should say, steam engines. Just move this up a little bit. I'll explain in a second why I'm not moving it any further. So typically the top edge, when it's undone and you pull it down, typically will fall in here, the gully here. Then the next kind of middle section areas will fall down into here. So don't leave the truck where it shouldn't be. Typically you have to take out all connected floors to the sides in order to be able to pull them down with these winch stations. There's 5 on this side. So this isn't the normal beach in the game. This is just because of the bigger boats. The normal beach is actually it's the opposite side of where that tanker is. So when you start the game, that's what it is. And yeah, that's the gist of it. Now there is winch stations on the opposite side as well. So if I press 5, 5 is the crane operator, which also they've introduced a new feature with the crane. You can right click once for mobile cargo placement and aim at where you want it placed. Let me just go around here. Useful for when you have a cleared area. You can't place it on the ground, it has to be on like a floor like that, and it'll automatically appear. If you right click again, you get this. This is to do with the magnet. So this tells the crane magnet where to position to try and suck up everything that's in that area. This is really great addition because when you're breaking loads of wall panels and floors and other bits and pieces, you don't want to have to be picking up everything by hand really. So, but it's also a quick way to clear the stuff is to use the magnet. I don't think there's a cost at the moment to even use it. So I had actually cleared out this section the last time I was on. So those big steam engine parts here, and there was a floor, and there was another section on this side. Let me just pick these up. Now, in fact, I could show you taking out this with the camera out there. Taking out this section. Let's see, we go with the dynamo or the explosives. So typically you don't need to play, as long as you place it as a perimeter around the section, you don't need to place one on each tile. So the rivets basically determines the tiles, as I'm calling them. So I'm just going to go around in a circle because I know what the minimum is to get rid of it. There's nearly done. If you're wondering why my resolution looks a bit funny, I'm playing on a Samsung 57-inch monitor, which is a some people are calling it 8K max, but it's 2 4K panel, 32-inch panels, the equivalent of. But at the moment I have it set to, I believe it's called 5K 2K or something, which is 5100 by 1440p. OBS going to the HLS ingress on YouTube. Right, now that's done. Let's detonate. As you can see, there's not really any lag, which is nice. RTX 4090 for the win. And yes, you do need a decent graphics card to run a panel that big, would be my recommendation. So right click when you're in whole hand mode. Green line means it's connected to the truck. And there's a sound it makes, but because we're so far from it, you can barely hear the sound. It just means that it's landed in the truck. The amount you can carry when you start out is much lower than 350k. Again, it's another thing that you have to upgrade over time. Right, so I've done that. Now, we didn't necessarily have to clear that because with the way the physics work in the game, now here we go, crane operator. It would pull that up with those bits on it, but they would just fall back down to the ground, essentially. Pressing U and you stare at something and tell you what it is and what its weight is, like iron for that. That one's okay. That hull is low alloy steel and iron, so you will have targets to get to do that stuff. So it's kind of important. And then once the crane goes back to its drops to its warehouse position, that's when you get the overlay at the top middle. Right, so that's where we're at the moment. We might as well go for a walk around because I haven't really looked around. I've only been concentrating on the back. You will sometimes find when you're walking around, now on the contracts on the left, I can flick through and see what the general items are and the count of what I have to get. So we can break and pick up. Yeah, so I've been in here already by the looks of it. Some of those things that you need to find will be in inner rooms like heavy equipment, or it's tables and chairs like this. They're nearly as well to just run round first and grab all the loose stuff. Obviously the bigger the ships, the longer it's going to take, but earlier on though it is kind of worth doing on the smaller ships. Because what you can end up doing is just parking the truck nearby enough that you can get back out. Now obviously we can't go through the hole, but you go out to somewhere here and just nudge yourself and make sure you have clearance, and there it goes, it's in. What was I going to say? Yeah, so we've got a few beds and stuff there, chests, pictures, bookshelf, like 150 chests, 60 pictures. High alloy steel. I'm trying to remember what's high alloy steel on this. It's not the walls. Oh no, wait, it is. Sorry, some of the walls. It is. Yeah. Just think about basic engineering and physics, because if you take too much out on a inside floor and there's something heavy above, you could potentially collapse and lose it because there's no support or whatever. Specifically if you're using explosives. Now I'm using the simulator edge because I'm pretty confident there'll be nothing here, but you could in this case just clear a path the whole way through one side of the ship like this, because we're near the truck, so that we then have a path to run back to clear out the loose stuff that we're picking up. Not everything that is sitting on the floors is actually on the subcontracts list, as in you don't need it. That's not to say you shouldn't collect it. You can, because again earlier on these resources, metal, non-metal, fluids, etc., tools, are important for unlocks. So now it says I'm carrying too much. So if I turn around and go back, now it might even be worth repositioning the truck near, or you could actually put the truck in the middle there. In fact, is there a way to put the truck down there? I think there's a ramp up the front actually that we could put it down, drive it down to, drive it down along and then put it down at the back. At least won't be in the way when you're pulling down the sides, for example. Again, as I said, you sink a lot of hours into this game. Thankfully there's a save system, so it's worth using it. I think I used to get the odd crashes, so it will roll back to say the default 10 minutes if you haven't changed it. Wow, okay, there's a lot of stuff in here. There's pictures there. That was one of the items on the list. Here's a settling torch point. Most of the time you won't want to break these unless you know you've cleared the connecting adjacent floors. So for example, for each section, so from where the last section starts up to this point, you would have to clear pretty much everything that's connected along here, across, on the same on the opposite. I think as well you have to actually clear everything in between as well. Then also take into consideration top to bottom, as in go to the top and remove what's on top first. Now, assuming this was a full floor and it wasn't broken like this. So not all the ships are fully intact, such as this one. As I say, I'd only tackled that very back area down there where I lifted out the hull. Some things you just have to push it down, which is right click, and it loosens it basically. We're obviously Superman and we can pick things up to 350 at the moment. They may increase that in the future. And if you hold down and stretch the mouse, when you don't get the green line, it's worth trying it that way, but obviously that doesn't bounce far enough, so it's going to miss it. And now for our other Superman move is this. We can drop without taking damage because reasons. Anyways, drop that in there. That ramp. Oh, there's the ramp. Actually, there's another ramp beside us. I didn't realise that was there. I hadn't used it. There's usually a ramp up the top as well. I'm going to swing this around. And we can stick it there. Oh! Yeah. Maybe reverse. To get out easier later. Press E. You don't have to worry about it stopping, because the minute you press E to get out, it will instantly stop where it is. So as you can see, there's some big items down here. If you press U to bring up the scan, so it tells you what resources you get from these when the crane lifts them. Anchored by these points down here. Number 3 brings up the angle grinder to break those. Typically you do not want to break the bottom until you've cleared what's up and around them, because it will tell you crane does not have access or does not have clearance to get to them until you clear all the crap from around it. This has been my first time doing this one. This looks like there's multiple things stacked on top of each other, so there's some other points. That looks like if we take that out, there's probably one on the opposite side as well. You hear that click when it's getting released. Oh, there's more than one. So I suspect the top of this can be lifted out with the crane. We probably don't need to break this one in the middle here yet. I think that'd be for later, since I'm not worried about it, we'll go with that one. Let's go around here, take this out. Now this is an exception to what you usually end up having to do, which is clear sidewalls and like things like that there, and this row here is probably blocking the bigger stuff down below. There's usually like one tile extra around whatever you're trying to get down inside of the ship towards the crane that has to be cleared first. Right, let's switch. Yeah, there we go, it's green. Once it's green, we know that the crane has clearance. So here we got more equipment, and again, if you were to use explosives too close to all of this or under it in particular, and they would just automatically collapse and you lose them as a resource. But notice when I hover over these ones, they has high alloy steel and oil. Like those are considered premium resources as part of your contract, so you don't want to lose those. So if I click on that, elements does not have all connectors destroyed. You can also queue the crane more than one thing to pick up, assuming you have your clearance sorted and no attachments. Okay, let's see, can we get it here? Nothing else. Oh yeah. So now we want to get up here. You do have a rope and a hook that you can throw at great distances, and as you skill up that skill, you can get much higher. Now let's try. Okay, so it's still red, so that means something's blocking it. Okay, what did we miss? This one. Alright, let's move off of it. Cannot reach the load. Right, so there's what's above us needs to come out. Now, typical guidance would be walk from the top down, so we can switch to the rope and aim for the top and jump. Right, so now we're up on top. So if we clear all of this bits out of the way, you can nearly take all of this out. So I'm going to do it this way just to see how easy it is to get it out. Now obviously you won't always have charges or explosives early on in the game anyway, because like if you're buying the game now and you're buying all the DLC, or you buy the most recent DLC, you won't have everything unlocked. Now I'm going to move that bed because I don't want to lose that as a resource, because that happens to be on the list. Yeah, see, and there's another thing there. Resources, what's in that now? If I turn on the scanner, yeah, there's oil, copper, and iron in that one. So you don't want to damage that either. You want to get that out, which means you want to clear all of this. And as you can see, we've got a good reach on this for placement as well. Get it in, yeah. Okay, that one. Now, another thing you don't want to do is have too much stuff fall down, particularly on top of the heavy stuff, because if there's too much falling, it can actually damage the thing you're trying to clear space to get to lift out a pallet or whatever, the heavy equipment. One thing considering doing when you have something like this is to put the explosives on the outside, not the inside, and don't put them close to the floor either. You also want to survey everything around the section that you're looking to remove. Oh, so I've just accidentally, we can always pick it up again. I might as well go clear this out. There we go. Some things are already broken, so there's a door. You can just pick that up. You don't have to place all that amount of explosives unless you're just trying to be a bit more efficient about it, I suppose, to get it out quicker, so that you could then use the magnetic crane, which again is not part of the starting game either. There's stuff there. What's that? Aluminium. Sometimes you see that on contracts. Aluminium. We don't have a need for it according to our contracts there, so that's considered Probably considered a metal resource. But I've gone down to the bone on most ships where I've actually harvested everything. And yes, that does take hours to do. Now, there's a mistake that I was trying to avoid, but it's a good example. We've just lost something. I'm not sure which one it was. There must have been something hidden that we couldn't see. Because the thing I was trying to protect was the one that was just here. Oh yeah, that one's fine. Yeah, there must have been something else adjacent that we didn't see, or down below that we didn't see. Now, as you can see, I'm picking this up by hand, but I really don't need to. If I was to use the magnet should be able to pick up everything using the crane. But this is what I was trying to get free access to this, so I get the crane to pick that up, and that will count towards our oil, and there's a copper on there as well. No, there's no copper, it's just the oil. The oil one is actually nearly finished, so this might be enough to fulfill that subcontract. So let me try getting this out. You can only place one charge on any tile section, no matter what. So if you place it on the bottom side, you can't place one on the top. So that's why that's blocking me. There's one underneath. Right, let's try this and see will it behave. Yeah, so now we've cleared space around that. Sometimes it'll entirely depend on where it's actually located. So press 3. Free that. So that is, yeah, now camera is green, that's good. And as I mentioned, you can queue multiple things up with the crane once they're once the connectors are broken. So that's going to transfer over to one of the warehouses. We'll see the oil pier now in a second. On the top of the screen. There we go. It's gone green on the left as well. So that means we've fulfilled that item. We're actually standing on wooden floors here. So that would count towards our wood requirement. Now, another thing I only just realized. Yeah, see the way that's now freed up. It's gone green. You can call the crane on that, but the thing I just realized I never considered before myself was the mobile cargo. Because we know we need wood, for example, if we were to go around the entire place and got enough wood and put through into this mobile cargo, we could then update that contract more direct. And what I mean by that is instead of chucking into the truck like we normally would, because you won't know what's in the truck. I mean, okay, fair enough if you were taking notes maybe, but we generally don't want to do anything with that truck until we have everything we need. Now, the count for the wood, for example, will still go up even though it's sitting in the truck, as far as I can remember. I mean, there's a simple way to test that, just break something and place it. But the point I was making is that if you put one of these down, like somewhere like here, switch back to 1. Now there is a manual way to take these down as well, that would count towards the wood. So if you use the scanner and walk up this to what it is, right, at the moment that's showing as iron, so it's not even showing as wood. To me, that's a wood floor, but obviously the game doesn't see it that way. There's probably another way to these wood. Yeah, so there's a percentage of wood and it counts as a chair as well. But if you look at the other contracts, there's chairs required. So you're getting a kind of a 2-for-1 deal there. So what you could do there is switch back to just collecting, just collect all the chairs. Now, the thing about this hand pickup thing, it has a radius pickup. So you're not just picking up the thing you're staring at, it's whatever's within, I don't know, a meter or so, I think it is. early on you don't have that luxury. It's something that you upgrade or unlock and upgrade over time. And I will just quickly clear out the room with this stuff. As I say, we want all these things, but there's another way of being more finesse for getting what's needed and throwing it into this. So there's, and oh yeah, I didn't realize that the scanner actually tells you what's in there as well. That's cool. So there's 174 kg wood. Or actually, is that scanning it? Oh, it is, yeah. So we tell the crane to pick that up. So that's 1,758 of 18,000. If I tell the crane to pick that up, that will, when it goes to the warehouse, that will then update. The truck is still down there. Chuck that in. Just going to wait for that to update, and we'll try chucking some. There we go, 1932. Right, and if I go to a small wood there on the table. You're probably thinking this is the dining room of the Titanic. It's kind of loosely implied that that's what this ship is, but obviously it's not. I'll leave the picture frame for now. I just want to pick up a few more of these. Nearly full. Alright. Let's go to back here and throw it to the truck and see, does the count go up? I'm pretty sure the count does go up, because it's considered collected. Yeah, there we go. See? So we've a long way to go on that amount of wood that's looking for. What I would say about the contracts is, you see the way it's grey, orange, red. That basically means that the middle, the orange and the red ones are the higher tier. They'll be more rare, and they'll be more risky to get in many cases. Well, particularly on some of the other ships I know there were. Now, obviously, chest, picture, bookshelf, gold. The first three there are going to be items you can just go through all the rooms and the floors and just pick them up like this and throw them in. Obviously, this ship being the biggest of the latest DLC, there's an awful lot of stuff here. Let me see, what does that show us? Wooden sink, wooden bed. What is that? Cloth. Probably don't even need cloth for what we're doing. Now here's another opportunity for another lesson. That fuzzy looking thing, that's electricity. That means there's an electrical charge passing through those walls and floors, and there's a circuit breaker here somewhere. So typically what you want to do is and again, you want to be careful, because you don't want to go blowing up things when you can't see what's behind them, because there could be a gas pipe next to it, and the gas pipe system, and then there's another type of system has a valve shut off, so you can blow through the doors, or as they said in the Italian job, blow the bloody doors off. You can go in and see if it's in here. Can we get near it? If you use the hammer with this thing and you try to smash those, you're going to get shocked. And early on, I think if you do it too many times or too close to the source, I think it fries you and you end up, I don't think you lose resources, but you end up back at the shack. That probably is a penalty and I just haven't noticed it, but as I say, that's generally what that is. We're full again. Another thing you can do, I think I mentioned about the mobile cargo, you don't just have to put them outside where it's open to the air. You could actually place them inside as well, I think. There's it saving. Yes, that means that 30 minutes into this, which is longer than I I'm not sure how much longer we're going to play this, but anyway, we'll keep going for now. Yeah, those special items, Easter eggs as I refer to them, collectibles, they are going to be hidden, and in some cases, I think most ships or submarines, whichever it is there's just the one collectible. I think I might be wrong about that. Let's get the crane to clear that up. Get that out. Yeah, so there's hazards, as I mentioned. The electricity one, the gas pipe one. I'm hoping to see if I can find a gas pipe system with the valve control. They look like kind of yellow pipes. Let me see. E to pick up. Right, nothing too special looking there. There's a rake of stuff. There's chairs and pictures that we can't go towards the subcontract. I will see, can I find the captain's area? As usually I do say, when it's a full ship, start from the top and dismantle everything. So this one here looks like it has probably about six points that need to be used a torch on to remove them, and then you call in the crane. It looks like, is there a captain's? Oh, there's the wheelhouse. Sometimes you'll find those collectibles are actually hidden in and around the wheelhouse area, but it's not always that way. I believe someone did do up a list of the first couple of DLC ships as to where everything is located. They give you like a rough idea and maybe a picture. But even with that knowledge, as I said, if you blow up the wrong thing in the wrong place, or you damage, or you trigger an explosion, gas explosion, yeah, you could end up losing the collectible and having to start over, or load an earlier save if you're smart about it. Let's throw that up over there. So the crates as well, when you throw them away like that, will remain glowing, so you know you have to go retrieve them to throw them into the truck or the mobile cargo. There's a nice feature of this ship is break those connectors called a crane. That has wood and low alloy steel. It's the lifeboats. So you could actually do that for them all first, and then just queue them up with the crane. I think the crane goes up to 5 or 7 items at a time. And that's pretty much that. As I said, you could spend hours. If you're trying to do a different ship per session, you'll find that unless you've got a lot of free time, you're going to need to save and come back. And don't be afraid to do manual saves, especially if you're anxious about losing a resource, or there's a machine with oil in it that you want to get out, like this one here. So this has high alloy steel, which I happen to know we still need loads of. So just on the first contract I just brought up again. If I do that and then that, there we go. I'm assuming these also have wood. Yeah, so these boats actually can work towards our wood requirements. Might as well do that now here. I'm assuming there's boats on the other side as well of the ship. There we go. The railings I usually don't bother too much with, because I'd be taking them out, I'm taking out the floors with maybe explosives. So it's good to keep an eye out for items like this which has plenty of wood resource in it, because you don't necessarily have to then go finding wooden floors and walls. Because obviously these are technically are steel floors with a wooden finish on them, so they don't count as wood. So that's that one, and then you can queue up that one over there. Let's have a walk around and see, is there wood there. Guessing these are staff quarters. Check the wall. Sometimes there'll be a clock or something that you have to collect as well, that you can easily miss. Like, one thing I'd be tempted to do, just based on experience of playing this already, is to try and free up the entire front of the boat so that I can unhook and pull off the hole, and then I can put the truck at the front instead of at the back. But yeah, don't have to. Let me see, what have we over here? Suitcases are plastic and suitcase. Alright, what about these? Wood and sudden bed. Okay, they count towards wood. Again, as I said, when there's many things adjacent to each other closely, they all get picked up. Where's the truck? Oh, there's the truck down there. As I say, yeah, when you don't get the green line, there we go. If you don't get it, you hold the button and move the mouse forward to kind of position it near partly on top of it, and then it should go down and bounce and hit on it. You still go in most of the time. For me, it does anyway. What's our wood looking like now? 3,600 of 18,000. Oh, we've a long way to go. As I mentioned earlier, you could just walk around and get all what I call the loose stuff that's just sitting there that just needs to be either picked up or knocked out first. So this looks like it just needs to be disconnected, and then, oh, okay, where is it on the other side? Oh, there it is. Right, and off that goes. So yeah, as I said, this is Titan. This is the biggest of the steamship DLC. It's going to be taking me a moment to get through it all, but we're coming up on an hour now. And that was my plan, was to try and stick to an hour, because I could be here all night doing this. And that's basically it. That's the game and the new DLC. I can only imagine what they're planning for this layer. Like, look at if you look over there. Now, obviously, that's not an player accessible area, but like, I'm sure there's more ideas for what could be done with this game in terms of, as I say, this is the second beach that opens up because of the DLC. Well, not necessarily this DLC, but the one before as well, I think. But there's the original beach over there, where you start out. I can only imagine how much bigger this could get, and what other types of ships and things they could put in here. Maybe NASA rockets that have been come back on re-entry and plunge into the sea. Could be a contract that they turn up on the beach and you have to disassemble them. I won't mention the Tesla organization for obvious reasons. But anyway, yeah, I think we'll leave it there for now. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.